Welcome back to the Redshirt Culture Podcast. Today we've got a good show planned for you today. We're talking police chases. We're talking national championship stories. And our sports finally coming back. We're back with episode 3. My name is Stefan, and I'm here with my good friend Tanner. And we're 3 for 3 now. Three episodes in 3 weeks. We haven't missed one yet, which is surprising. But how's your week been? You got up to anything exciting? And was it good, average, mediocre, terrible like mine? How was it?
Yeah, it was good. We've completed the three-peat now.
Yeah.
Not too many guys can say that they've done that. But yeah, my week was pretty normal. I had one good outing. I went out with my old roommate Jake Weston. He's a big fan of the pod. He's out there listening to this. Jake's a bit of an interesting character, so we went out together, and my girlfriend Chelsea came with us. So Jake had this big plan to go fishing. Now he's got his parents have some property out in Mission. So he's like, okay, you guys can come out to Mission and we can go down this dirt road to Stave Lake. We may have to hike a little bit, but it's all good. It should be good. So I said, okay, sweet. We can go fishing. I'm like, Jake's probably gone fishing before. I can load up the canoe on my dad's truck. So I get it all strapped on. We drive out there to Mission. Jake's never been fishing before, ever. He's on the dirt road waiting for us. He's driving his dad's old Saab convertible. And so he has to leave it there on the side of the dirt road. And then we start going down this thing. And it's it's impossible to get down if you don't have an ATV. So we go through the first puddle and I'm thinking, oh no, this is pretty thick. This is pretty deep. So I ram it through the first puddle. We make it through. We don't get stuck. And then as I'm sitting there looking at the next lake that we have to cross across this road, we start sinking into the dirt, and we just start sinking and sinking and sinking. And then I panic. I start spinning the tires, and next thing you know, we're 2 feet sucked into the mud, just dead stuck. So here we are, 3 Jerrys, fishing stuff, canoe strapped to the top, all of us in there, and we're stuck in the middle of nowhere. So I grab the paddle out of the truck. I'm digging a hole around the tires, trying to get us out with the paddle. I tell Jake to get out and push us from behind. And so he's pushing, I'm ramming it. And then we finally pop out and we shoot forward a little bit. And I'm thinking, okay, we're good. We're out. And for you guys on YouTube, we can show a video or a picture here of when we were stuck. And so we shoot out. And then I realized, I'm well, we kind of pushed the wrong way. We pushed forward. So now I still got to go back somehow because we weren't going to be able to go all the way to the lake. So we were trying to turn around. There's no room to turn around. So then I realized I have to put it in reverse and I have to slam back through all these holes in reverse at full speed to try to avoid the mud. So here we are with our canoe on the top and we're taking jumps out of the mud to get out of this dirt road. So we finally make it out of the dirt road. I convinced Jake not to hike all the way down to the lake, which is 2 kilometers, carrying the canoe. We're not doing that. Bears everywhere. And his plan was to originally camp at the lake. So I convinced him not to do that. And we ended up going to a smaller lake close by. We went fishing. Jake caught a big monster fish, about 3 inches long.
Was it a bass?
It actually kind of looked like bass. But I don't know, it's some weird lake fish. So we went to this lake called Hatzick Lake, hanging out in the canoe, drinking some beers, doing some fishing. There was a guy in his house who was a Johnny Cash impersonator playing live music on his deck. So we had live music in our canoe as we were fishing with all these little guys everywhere. So Jake caught his fish, and then he was off the rails today. He also we were paddling back to where we launched, and up in the tree up off this cliff there's a platform. So he gets out, he goes to climb up the cliff using this rope, He almost falls in, and then he gets to the tree and he's like climbing up the steps on the tree. And he realizes, like, oh no, I still have my clothes on. He's like, I still have my sunglasses. So he says, we're like probably 30 feet below him in the canoe. And he's like, do you think I can throw you my clothes and my sunglasses and you'll catch them? And I'm like, no, that's not going to work. And so then he strips down to his underwear and he's like, okay, I'll throw my sunglasses first. So Jake's got these iconic gooders that he wears everywhere. Like, he loves these gooders. And so he drops the gooders off the platform. So they start fluttering in the wind. I miss them, sink instantly right to the bottom. Like, they're gone. Jake starts like screaming from up on the platform. And then he's like, okay, I'll just leave my clothes up here. So he ends up jumping. We never get the glasses back. I can see if I can find the video of the jump, see if we can put it on here. Never gets the glasses back, and then we just continue on with our regular fishing.
And you have no clutch, Gene. Can't make the catch.
I would have tipped us. I needed like Inspector Gadget arms to like extendo 12 feet away.
Wait, you were in the boat? And you
Yeah.
tried to drop them?
Yeah. So Chelsea and I were in the boat in the lake, like, because I was ready to save him if he messed up his jump. And then he decided to drop his clothes and his sunglasses from the cliff into us who were in the lake in the boat. I heard some people had a kind of a rough week after our last episode.
I didn't really get up to anything. It was a bad week. I had no motivation. I had no motivation. Yeah. We'll get to that. I have something first though. So, as you all know, I've said it numerous times. I go outside to play basketball like 5-6 times a day, just 15-minute segments. And this week, this crow has been bugging me. So it's been pooping on the driveway on my court. And so it's been raining off and on. So the poop has been able to wash off a bit. But this crow is mocking me right now. And every once in a while I go out and it's on the front lawn. It's like Spike Lee, just trying to get in my head.
The poop or the crow?
No, the crow is on the lawn. It's trying to get in my head. That's pretty much it. It's just, a crow's been getting in my head, and I've lost my shot. I've lost my touch. So that's pretty much it. That's how my week's been going. A crow's been getting in my head. Here's a fun fact about crows. I learned about this in grade 9, I think. Did you know crows hold court? Like they have trials. Yeah. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. Oh. That's wild. But for all the people out there, like some of them may want to, one person in particular may not know this, so we may have to explain it. Do you think
it's only execution? Like, do you think there's crow jail?
I think it's like one of these situations.
Yeah, like because how can you have jail when you have wings? Say, oh, at jail time, the bird just instantly flies away. So I think it's either execution or nothing. Like you steal one seed, you're executed.
Yeah, I want to be executed right now.
And then what you were touching on a bit earlier. So after episode 2 came out, a lot of people were coming at me online for defamation. Like people were defaming my character just because you said that I didn't show up to meetings.
Yeah, I should go on the record. And that was a little bit of an exaggeration. I think there was one meeting you didn't show up to.
You've missed more meetings than I have.
You definitely paid the price for that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say who it was. But the morning after the episode came out, she said something like, oh, it looks like you're not showing up to meetings. It's important to be a team player here. And I'm like, I'm just getting ruined out here. Now I understand why players don't talk to the media, because my own friend and co-host just turned his back on me in that situation. So would you care to comment?
Yeah, like you just really have to be careful of your language here, because this is all problems you created yourself. You have to make sure that you no swearing, no derogatory comments. You got to keep it PG.
Yeah, I mean, I all I said was the P word, and I'm not going to say the P word anymore. The PISS word. I'm not allowed to say that anymore. So this is a PISS free podcast from here on out. All right, you heard that here first. All right, so we'll move on from the P word to another P word. Oh wow, I didn't even know that. What a transition that was. So I think this was on Friday, and it was just
it was Friday.
this massive police chase in Los Angeles. So I I was watching it for probably 10, 15 minutes. I thought it was gonna end pretty quickly, but then it wasn't. And I sent it instantly to the group chat. I was like, this is insane. Because this guy's driving all over the place. I think I sent it as soon as he started driving or against traffic on the highway. I was like, this is wild. And I was watching this like it was game 7 of the NBA finals. This was so exciting. Obviously, I was hoping no one was going to get hurt, and I don't think anyone did, which was good, but this was insane.
Yeah. When Stefan originally put it in the group chat, I thought it was a private message. So I instantly was responding like all these messages, and then I realized at the end that we just hijacked the group chat. But like normally I don't watch these kinds of things, but I was glued to the screen. Like I could not take my eyes away. This was unreal. This guy was pulling off like 15 to 20 foot drifts to avoid the spike strips. It was crazy. And this is like an old, what was it, old Chevy pickup truck.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Like immediately afterwards there were videos all over YouTube and Twitter of this guy's police chase. Like it is definitely one of the most insane ones that there's ever been. And he ended up driving for like 10 minutes on just a rim.
I can't even think of a time when I've actually seen a live police chase, I don't think. Or at
Yeah, I
least
know.
tune in for that long. Like I was watching it for an hour. I
Yeah,
think.
that's like the first one I've ever seen live. But after you sent that to me, that's like a gateway drug. Like I was hooked. Like
Yeah.
that was it. After that, I think that night I stayed up like till 1 a.m. watching police chase videos on YouTube. Like I found this guy hijacked a semi truck. It's called Big Rig Police Chase. Like these things are electric. Like
That's right up your alley.
I know they had so many wheels. It was so fast. No one could catch this thing. But I highly recommend if you ever find yourself with some free time, look on YouTube.
Yeah, I haven't been down that rabbit hole yet, but I feel like that would be a pretty good YouTube rabbit hole, like police chase videos and horrible sports injuries. Those are the two rabbit holes that you always find. Like twice a year you find yourself going down the worst sports injuries rabbit hole, and you can't go to sleep after it.
Yeah, you're sitting there, you're like
like Andrew Bogut's broken arm still haunts me to this day.
yeah, I know. And also like Peyton Manning destroying Kevin Durant at the ESPYs. Like that's also a horrific sports industry.
So after that blast from the past, let's move on to some NAIA stories. So last week it was supposed to be our national championship. I think it was supposed to end on Friday of last week. Obviously, we weren't able to go, but we thought we'd relive a couple of our memories from past championships. So Tanner, would you like to give your first memory?
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of hard to see because you know how on Snapchat you get those reminders. It'll be like 1 year ago today, and then it'll show a video or a picture. And I was getting those last week, and that was kind of hard to see because we get to stay in these really cool condos that are right on the ocean. One thing that people don't really realize about Gulf Shores, Alabama, is it's this amazing place to go for vacation. It's like a terrible place to go for a track meet, but aside from the actual running part, it's sunny, it's hot, like long stretches of beach. Everyone else there is there on vacation, but the humidity and the heat just kills you on the track. Like it's actually brutal running there. Before I went there, I thought, okay, it can't actually be that bad. And then when I finally went, it takes a huge toll. Like, let's say you run a 4-minute mile, like just in theory, something Stefan and I have never done. or gotten close to you. But let's say you run a 4-minute mile. If you go and you try to do that at Gulf Shores, you probably won't be able to run faster than 4:08. Like it actually makes a huge difference. Myself last year came down with heat stroke, ended up vomiting everywhere after every single race. Like I didn't even think my body could produce that much liquid. Got a good picture of me on my hands and knees for about the next 45 minutes. But yeah, I found myself this week trying not to think about it too much because it was just a little hard to know that we weren't there. But one thing that I always kind of think of is our coach would always say, he's like, this trip is a cool trip because you get to go to a little corner of the world that you would never otherwise experience. And at first I was kind of like, I don't really, whatever. Like he's just kind of saying that. But when you really think about it, like I probably would never have gone there otherwise. And we fly in, we land in New Orleans, and then we drive to Gulf Shores, Alabama. So we get to see things that are pretty cool. We normally would never get to. We get to go into downtown to the rough part of New Orleans, get shrimp po' boy lined up out the door. There's guys trying to sell us t-shirts, people meeting under the overpass. It's just a really cool experience.
It's kind of cool to just go somewhere where you'd never think you'd ever be. We've been to a couple places like that. Obviously Gulf Shores is a little bit more desirable than Quad Cities, Iowa. But yeah, that's definitely the best part about it. Just being able to, even the traveling and stuff, and that's the best part of being on the team, I think.
Yeah, it's like another country there. Like for us coming from Vancouver, it's actually a really brutal travel day. That's really long because you have to fly. I don't know how long the flight is from Vancouver to New Orleans, but we usually have like one layover somewhere, Houston or Chicago. Yeah. And so it's like 6 or 7 hours till you get to New Orleans and you feel pretty garbage. And then you get there, you got to get in the rental cars and they have to drive 2.5 hours to Gulf Shores because there's only a small airport in Mobile, Alabama, and no one's going to fly there. So when it's all said and done, like from the time you leave Vancouver to the time you get to the condo in Gulf Shores, it's at least 12 hours. It's like traveling to Europe. It's a brutal travel day.
Yeah. And you just have to pound hydration tablets as soon as you get there. Recover from the travel.
Yeah, you got to make sure you like go to the right condo. You got guys telling you you're at the wrong place. It's like there's not much you can do.
For my story is a bit different. Mine's not as sentimental, I guess. It's kind of just, it doesn't even really have to do with the championships at all. But so as Tanner was saying, we fly in and out of New Orleans. This was in second year, so 2018. We're on our way back to New Orleans to head home, and we wanted to check out Bourbon Street. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So what we do is like the meet ends on like a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever at like 4 or 5 in the evening, and then we all load up in the vans quickly, and we, like when I say quickly, it's like no stopping. We get in the vans and then we drive straight to New Orleans and get to New Orleans around like 9 or 10. And then we have one night in New Orleans to check out Bourbon Street and just kind of the city before we leave the next morning.
We all kind of wanted to check out the city a bit. We had an early flight in the morning, I think, so we didn't want to stay up too late. But fast forward, we're on our way back to the hotel, and I see one of my teammates talking to this large man, and I'm like, I was gonna go up to him and tell him that we're heading back to the hotel. And it comes out that this guy is an NFL player. So I'm like, oh, that piqued my interest a bit. So I asked him what his name was, and he's like, Greg Robinson. So then I knew right away who it was. Like I knew he was a high draft pick and he went to Auburn and stuff. So I was kind of talking with him a bit about that. And then the funny thing is I asked him about Jared Goff because he was on the Rams, and this was before Sean McVay got there. So it was still Jeff Fisher as the head coach, who is the definition of mediocrity. And I asked him how Jared Goff was doing it. And he's like, no comment. I don't think he liked Goff very much. And Goff didn't show up very much in his rookie year. I think he had like a 54% completion percentage, so it wasn't great. And then the season right before I met him. He was in Detroit, and I think he only played 6 games, but his team gave up 47 sacks or something, which was second in the league, and he's an offensive lineman. So not a great year for the offensive line unit. And yeah, we talked for like 10 minutes or so. Nothing crazy. But then we fast forward to this year. Like it's not like me and Greg were keeping in touch or anything, but I felt like we had a good relationship. I'm sure he thought about me every once in a while. I think it was in February. I wake up this morning and breaking news all over the place. Greg Robinson arrested for 157 pounds of marijuana. I'm like, I was shocked. Like, you think you know someone after meeting them for 10 minutes, and then they pull that? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then it said he could be in jail for 20 years. They say I don't think he's actually going to be in jail for 20 years. I think there was a similar case that the guy was in jail for like 30 months or something. But man, like they say to never meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. But that disappointment took 3 years. But
well, you have to think 157 pounds of marijuana. That's more weight than if they put you in a duffel bag and tried to transport.
Yeah, that weighs more than me. That's wild. Let's talk a bit about sports. The NHL they have a wild plan. So they're starting phase 2. They're hoping to get into phase 2 in early June, which is just the facilities opening up and stuff. Phase 3 is spring training camp, and then phase 4 would be the actual games. But we kind of want to focus on this 24-team playoff tournament. I'll admit I'm not a huge hockey fan, which is kind of weird considering we're from Canada. I guess that's the big stereotype. But so I was like looking up this proposal, and I originally came across something on Twitter that I thought was the real thing, and it was this: every team made the playoffs.
It's so hard to read. It's like an experience.
I want this plan. I'll put it up on the YouTube. But every team makes the playoffs. The first games are single elimination. That would be insane for hockey. And then the next round's best of 3, and then it's best of 5, and then best of 7. I think this plan would be insane, but I understand why some of the hockey purists would be disgusted by this plan. But the actual proposal, so it's 24-team tournament, and you have teams that have no business being in the playoffs really that are going to get a chance. And I don't really know what to think about it. I understand the sentiment of Montreal getting in the playoffs, and what if Carey Price just goes on a run? That's the thing about hockey. A hot goalie can just get on a run. And what if Montreal wins the Stanley Cup? That I feel like that invalidates it a bit.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. I had written down here that just to kind of bring up, like, would people even accept who the eventual champion is? Because it would always kind of have an asterisk beside it. I think if you won, it would kind of be tainted a little bit. But like you said, in hockey, we saw it when the LA Kings won their Stanley Cup. Like the lowest seeded team can just get hot and they can win.
Yeah, because they were an 8 seed, weren't they?
Yeah, they were an 8 seed, and they went all the way to win. I don't know, was that in like 2016? It was maybe even a little bit before that.
Yeah, earlier, I think.
This kind of looks like this was just made by a bunch of fans in the low seeds wanting to give their guys a chance.
I think the problem is that they're changing it like substantially, whereas we'll talk a bit about the NBA a bit later, but in baseball, the season hasn't started yet. So if the owners and everyone agrees at the start of the date that they're going to allow more playoff teams, I'm way more comfortable with that than just instantly changing it right now to add an additional 8 playoff teams. So that's kind of where my difference is coming into mind, but I don't know. I would watch it. I think it would be interesting to see. We'll see. This proposal still has to pass and everything, and there's still a lot of concern over the safety from the players and stuff. They don't really want to leave their families for a bubble site. I was reading some articles and stuff, but we'll see how that goes. As for the NBA, Adam Silver wants to reseed the playoffs, just 1 through 16, and he's been wanting to do this for a while. The reason why I'm on the fence with it, my reason why I like it's kind of stupid, but it looks like a March Madness bracket right now. That's sweet. like look at that. They always say that the 12-5 matchup in March Madness, that's always dangerous. The 12 seed always is dangerous. Philadelphia, Boston, dangerous. Philly's dangerous in that scenario.
That's true.
And then you have Houston, Utah. Houston as a 10 seed, little underdog action. 10 seed's gonna ride it. That's kind of why I like it. But I also don't like how they're changing it. The rules at the start of the season shouldn't be different. Just because that's kind of where my obviously like some rules have to change for like safety regulations, but the seeding has nothing to do with safety.
Yeah, that's kind of where I have a problem with it. Is I think that a top 16 would be really cool if they did it from the beginning.
Yeah.
But because they had something else at the start, there's like some of those teams in the East, like when you're in the East and the West, you play more teams against other teams in your own conference. So arguably the teams in the East had an easier road, because as of right now, the Blazers, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Spurs with DeMar the Dinosaur DeRozan, and the Suns, they all miss out on the playoffs. And they are just barely behind, like 1 or 2 wins behind Orlando and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I think if they have a tougher schedule in the Western Conference, like Orlando is the 8th seed in the East, and below them, no one really has a shot at making the playoffs. Whereas in the West, like the 9th seed through like the 13th seed, they all, if there were 10 more games, it could be entirely different who is in the playoffs. Like Memphis right now is in there, but they could be knocked out. So I think top 16 is interesting, but I just don't know how you can do it. Like, I don't want to see Orlando and Brooklyn in the playoffs. I want to see the Blazers and the Pelicans.
They were talking about a bit about doing like a play-in tournament so like the 7 through 12 seeds in each conference play, but that would be super interesting in the West, but would be terrible in the East.
Yeah.
So if there's a way that they could do 1 through 16, and maybe the last 4 seeds are playing.
Yeah.
Something like that possibly. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind just seeing East and West just normal. Just that's what it was at the beginning of the year. And why is it necessary to change it now? Just because now they're talking about just not even having any like regular season games. They're just going to go straight into the playoffs. Hopefully.
But that's kind of weird too. Like if they go straight into the playoffs, because there's teams in there who've played significantly more games than other teams.
Yeah.
Like I think the Lakers have played the most games, and they're around like 68 or 69 games. And then there's some teams who've played only 64 games. So I'm pretty sure Brooklyn's only played 64 games. And I think the Blazers have maybe only played 64 games. And the standings are that close that if they all played 3 more games to get even, things could be different. But one thing that's actually pretty interesting about the top 16 playoff is there's scenarios where you can have an East versus East or a West versus West championship. Like you can have Toronto playing Milwaukee in the finals.
Yeah. It's like similar to
or like looking at this, you can have the Clippers playing the Lakers in the finals.
Yeah, that would be insane. That's one of the reasons why the East owners are gonna, because you have to vote. You'd have to vote for this 1 through 16. The owners would. So the East owner, like Milwaukee's owner, is disgusted by this because they would have to go through the Clippers and the Lakers to win the title.
Yeah, Milwaukee may have to play they may have to beat 3 Western Conference teams to win the title.
Yeah.
OKC, the Clippers, and potentially the Lakers.
Yeah. Even just like looking at this bracket, I think Toronto might have the easiest road to I don't know what to call it, the conference finals, I guess, or the semifinals. Because, I mean, Denver, their best player is going to be 450 pounds.
So for those who can't see it, in round 1, Toronto is the 3rd seed. They play Memphis, who's the 14th seed. Those games would be like super fun to watch, but Toronto's going to win. And then if they win, they play the winner of Indiana and Denver. And then they reach the conference finals.
And I think Lakers would have to play Houston in round 1. Or in round 2.
Yeah, that's
that would
unfair.
be a lot of fun to watch, but even the Clippers road is tough. Dallas,
Boston or Philly, and then Milwaukee. That's hard.
Yeah.
Theirs is probably the hardest, actually.
I'm kind of, if this happens, I'm not going to be like distraught just because I think, I don't know, even like I was saying before, even the numbers beside the teams, like, a 12 seed reaches the semifinals, just kind of, but I don't know. It looks like it's going to happen. Like Charles Barkley seems like it's going to happen. So, and Chuck doesn't lie to us.
He also took Allen Iverson, the first pick of an all-time draft. So sometimes you can't really trust him.
Baseball is a little different just based on the fact that hockey and basketball, they pretty much just have playoffs to go, whereas baseball has an entire season. So it's not like basketball and hockey, you can have that bubble and it's only going to be maybe 6 weeks or so, but you can't have that same bubble for baseball because you have an entire season to be played. So it's a lot more difficult to kind of figure out some of these safety regulations, and baseball came out with like a 67-page safety proposal and stuff. Very thorough, and it includes like you can't chew seeds, you can't chew tobacco. I mean, what's going to go on there? You can't spit, you can't have post-game showers in the clubhouse, and you can't have any hydrotherapy and stuff. So I understand the safety of it all, but I think some of it's a bit over the top, especially if you're able to test every day. But I guess, I don't know. We'll see how the testing goes. But I know some of the players are pretty upset. Jack Flaherty has been quite vocal on Twitter. But even like the hydrotherapy stuff, I mean, if you're not allowing that increases risk of injury and stuff. So I think there has to be some give or take there.
Well, the one thing that's kind of common across all these sports trying to come back is in baseball, especially too, like what happens if they're in the middle of a series or if playoffs comes and they're in the middle of the playoffs and someone on one of the teams gets sick. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I guess you just have to test everyone in the league. Everyone who's played them, everyone on the team, everyone in the clubhouse.
So do you then have to wait a couple days? I guess.
Yeah, I guess it depends how quick the testing is. And I feel like if that happens in the regular season of baseball, I think they would just keep going, assuming everyone tests negative other than that one person, because they're going to have more players on the roster this year. So there's going to be a lot more movement and more available players. But yeah, in the NBA, there's 15 players on a team.
Yeah.
And like, what if AD or LeBron test positive?
No, I know. In the playoffs. Yeah, I know. In the conference finals, what happens?
I don't know what would happen because Adam Silver would be pissed. Oh,
yeah. But
Sorry, I said the P word.
This could sound like a just hog wild idea, but in baseball, especially, and maybe even in basketball, but in baseball, the players could all play and wear masks.
Yeah, technically, like some people in spring training in Korea were wearing masks.
Yeah, like what do you have to do? Run the bases at some point? That's it. You're not going to like die because you have a mask on. You can't breathe from running the bases. Well, some of them maybe will, but like Bartolo Colon is not going to be in there with a mask on running the bases, so it's going to be okay.
Yeah, baseball is by far the most socially distant sport, I guess you could say. But even then, you still have the hitter and the catcher and the umpire are all super close together, and runners on base are close to like the first baseman and stuff. I don't know. I think the safety part will be figured out. Now they just have to kind of figure out the money. So it looks like there's going to be a proposal coming out pretty soon. It might even be today. And it looks like there's going to be a bit of a change with the revenue split. So some ideas that have been floating around are like the prorated salaries, but on a deferred basis. So which is going to give the owners help their like cash flow issues in the short term. It's more the short term requirements that are hurt right now. Their long term's not affected as much. So that it's just the cash flow problems right now that they're facing. So if they can defer a bit of that money, it will help them in the short term.
It's interesting because then they have to carry this on their books for a long time, extending past this season. And for some of the franchises, like it shouldn't be that big of an issue, like some of the really big ones. But some of the smaller markets, they're going to really struggle.
There's been a lot of owners or anonymous owners that have come out and say that major cash flow issues, but they never show their books.
Yeah.
So you can't say if they're telling the truth or not. You like to hope that they are, but
if it was me and I was losing like millions a year, I would print the PDF and put it at the bus stop. Like I want everybody to know.
Yeah,
I need all the help I can get.
That's where the mistrust happens, though. That's why the players are speaking out on it, because the owners don't show their books.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have a feeling sometime in July we'll get hockey, basketball, and baseball, which
all at the same time.
Yeah, all at the same time too. It's going to be insane. The ratings are going to be so high.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to just have the games on just because we've been out with sports for so long that they're just going to throw the game on just because it's something. Like I was watching a bit of the match on Sunday with Tiger and Tom and Peyton.
Oh yeah.
I didn't watch much of it, but let's go to some listener questions. So we didn't really have one, but I did get a message from the aforementioned Jake, and he wants to hear your strike 3 call. So give it to him.
This is the most ridiculous question I've ever heard. Like,
I mean, you have to do it. Have you ever umpired before?
Strike 2.
You have to stand up and do it.
No, that's it. That's all you're getting. Let's see yours, big boy.
All right, I'll do an entire count. Ball. Oh. Thanks for the question, Jake. That's a good question. And then I think next week, potentially we have a guest. Well, we haven't asked him yet, but
yeah. So we need to decide who our guest should be next week. If you guys have any input on who you want it to be, we'd love to hear. But we kind of have three running, or actually 5 running leaders. So we got some messages from some interesting guys. We've got a few different possibilities here.
I think the clubhouse leader right now is Movie Man.
Yeah, could be Movie Man. The tag team twins are definitely making a strong push to be the first guest, but
I mean, one of them just wants to talk about Jason Tatum.
yeah, we'll have to decide.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll throw out some feelers, and so next week we should have a first guest. Who knows what will happen? We'll see. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Hope you all are enjoying the podcast, and we will all see you next episode.
See you.